Chapter 1. The Desert Whispers. In the heart of New Mexico, where the desert stretches out like an endless tapestry of sand and sagebrush, lies the small, forgotten town of El Silencio. Once a bustling mining community, it now stands as a ghost town, its buildings weathered by time and sandstorms. The town's name, the Silence, was ironic, since those who knew its history spoke of whispers that could be heard in the night, not of the living, but of those long gone. Jade Martinez, an amateur archaeologist with a penchant for the macabre, had come to El Silencio to explore the ruins of an old Spanish mission rumored to hide secrets beneath its crumbling walls. She arrived at dusk, the sun painting the sky with hues of fire, casting long shadows that danced like specters through the town. Setting up camp near the mission, Jade felt the weight of isolation. The night came swiftly, bringing with it an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional whisper of the wind. However, as the moon rose, so did other sounds, faint voices, speaking in Spanish, their tones urgent, fearful. Chapter 2. The Mission's Secrets. The mission, with its bell tower still standing, looked like a sentinel over the past. Jade entered with her flashlight, the beam cutting through the dust-filled air. She found old, faded paintings on the walls, depicting scenes of saints and sinners, but one image caught her eye, a mural of a dark figure cloaked in shadow, surrounded by what appeared to be souls or flames. As she documented these findings, the whispers grew louder. They seemed to come from below, urging her to leave or to dig deeper. Jade, driven by both fear and fascination, found a hidden trapdoor beneath the altar, leading down into a crypt not documented in any historical records. Descending into the darkness, her flashlight flickered, as if the darkness itself was alive, resisting the intrusion of light. The crypt was filled with old bones and artifacts, but one coffin stood out, adorned with symbols not of the Christian faith, but of something older, darker. Chapter 3. The Awakening. Opening the coffin, Jade found not just remains, but an intact journal, penned in Spanish from the time of the mission's construction. It spoke of a pact made with the one who whispers in the dark, a spirit or demon that promised protection from the harsh desert in exchange for something unspoken. The last entries were frantic, filled with regret and warnings of what had been unleashed. As she read, the whispers turned into a chorus, a cacophony of voices that seemed to vibrate through the walls. The air grew colder, her breath visible now. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled, and from the shadows, figures began to form, spirits of those who had died in El Silencio, their faces twisted in agony and anger. Chapter 4. The Pact's Price. The spirit from the mural, now fully formed, stood before her, its presence overwhelming. It spoke, not in words, but in thoughts, revealing the Pact's true cost. The town had been protected, but at the price of their souls, bound to this place, unable to move on, forever whispering their torment. Jade realized she had awakened something ancient and malevolent by disturbing the crypt. The spirit demanded she join them or leave a part of her soul as payment for her intrusion. Panicked, Jade promised to spread their story, to give them a voice in the world of the living, hoping this might appease the entity. Chapter 5. The Night of Truth. With dawn still hours away, Jade used the remaining time to record everything, the voices, the stories of the trapped souls, the malevolent spirits' demands. She felt the weight of their sorrow, their anger, and their longing for release. As she spoke to the spirits, learning their names, their lives, she began to understand the true horror of El Silencio. These were not just stories, they were confessions, pleas, and curses. She promised to honor their memory, to ensure they were not forgotten. Chapter 6. The Escape. With her task done, Jade hurried to leave before the night could claim her soul. The spirits, sensing her intention to spread their tales, seemed to lessen their hostility. However, the dark entity was not as forgiving. It tried to bind her, the shadows around her growing dense, almost suffocating. Jade reached the trapdoor, pulling herself up just as the dawn's light began to seep through the cracks of the mission's walls. The entity's power waned with the light, and the whispers faded into silence once more. She ran from the mission, not stopping until she reached her car, her heart pounding with terror and relief. Chapter 7. The Burden of Knowledge. Back in civilization, Jade shared her findings through articles, lectures, and finally, a book titled Whispers of El Silencio. She detailed every encounter, every voice she heard in the night, but kept the location of the town vague, fearing others might suffer her fate. However, the experience left her changed. She was haunted by the voices in her dreams, by the faces of the trapped souls. She felt a connection to El Silencio, a responsibility to keep their tales alive, but also a dread of what might happen if she ever returned. Chapter 8. The return. Years later, driven by a mix of guilt and curiosity, Jade decided to revisit El Silencio. She found the town more decayed but strangely peaceful in the daylight. She approached the mission with caution, finding it unchanged, the crypt still hidden beneath. This time, she came prepared, not just with equipment but with offerings, candles, incense, and a prayer written in Spanish for the lost souls. As night fell, she lit the candles in the crypt, reciting the prayer, hoping to give some form of peace to the spirits she had disturbed. The whispers returned, but this time, they were softer, almost thankful. The dark entity did not appear. Perhaps it was bound by the light of her candles or the sincerity of her words. She left the crypt open, a symbol of her respect and a hope that those souls could finally find their way. Chapter 9. The Legacy. Jade left El Silencio for the last time, her heart heavy but her spirit resolved. She continued to tell their stories, ensuring that El Silencio was not just remembered for its silence, but for the voices that once whispered in the night, yearning for release. The town remained a ghost town, but now it was a place of legend, of caution, and of a dark history intertwined with a plea for remembrance. And in the quiet nights, under a full moon, one could still hear the faintest of whispers, not of terror, but of peace, as if the souls of El Silencio had finally found some solace in being remembered. The Whispers of El Silencio. Thus ends, a tale of uncovering dark secrets, the price of knowledge, and the eternal quest for peace in the afterlife.